She filled in as a hotel receptionist, unaware she'd check in a millionaire "Good evening, everyone. Let me take you to a small town where dreams were not often spoken aloud and opportunities didn't knock," they whispered. She wasn't meant to be there that day. It was her day off. The regular receptionist had fallen ill, and the hotel manager called her in. Just for the afternoon. He had said, "It's quiet today, barely a soul." She sighed, put down her unfinished cup of coffee, and changed into her neatly pressed uniform. It wasn't a glamorous job, but it was hers. She was proud of how she greeted guests, not with rehearsed lines, but with genuine warmth. For her, every guest was someone's father, daughter, or tired traveler trying to find a little peace in a restless world. That day, a man walked in, not dressed extravagantly, no bodyguards, no obvious signs of wealth. Just a quiet traveler, a little worn from the road. She smiled. "Welcome," she said, with a kindness so real it softened the weariness in his eyes. She didn't know his name, didn't ask why he had no booking. Just helped him find a room, offered him tea while he waited, and listened as he mentioned how strange the weather had been on his drive. She laughed politely, asked if he needed help with his bags, and printed his key with her usual grace. It wasn't extraordinary, it was just how she treated everyone, but what she didn't know was that this man wasn't just anyone. She didn't know he was a millionaire. She didn't know he owned a chain of luxury hotels. She didn't know he had walked in unannounced, out of curiosity, to find a quiet place to spend the night before an important meeting. What he did notice was the way she made him feel, seen, heard, welcome. The next morning he checked out silently, but not without leaving a note. "In a world full of transactions, you made this feel like a moment. Call this number." It was the beginning of something she had never dreamed of. A few weeks later, she was offered a position at a hotel 10 times the size, with better pay, new training, and a chance to grow. Not because she chased opportunity, but because she served from the heart when no one was watching. Here's the lesson. She didn't know she was checking in a millionaire, but she treated him like a human being, and that changed everything. Too often, we wait for big moments to show our best selves. We think we need stages, recognition, or people who can open doors. But the truth is, life often watches how we behave when we think it doesn't matter. Your integrity is not proven in interviews. It is proven in how you speak to the janitor, how you help someone who can give you nothing in return, and how you show up especially when it's inconvenient. So whether you're behind a counter in a classroom or cleaning a floor, know this: your kindness is never wasted. Your work matters even when it feels invisible, and someone somewhere is always watching, perhaps with the key to your next chapter. Serve with dignity, speak with compassion, live with purpose, because like her, you never know when your ordinary moment might become your extraordinary beginning. Thank you. Even temporary or last-minute responsibilities may carry unseen potential. Life doesn't always send invitations with golden seals or knock on your door wearing a suit and tie. Sometimes opportunity slips in quietly, through a simple phone call, an unexpected errand, or a favor you didn't feel ready for. When she got the call to fill in at the hotel reception, it didn't feel like an opportunity. It felt like an inconvenience. She was tired. It was supposed to be her day off. The bed was warm, the tea still steeping, and her plans for rest had been earned. But when the manager called, apologizing and explaining that the regular receptionist had fallen ill, something inside her said yes, not because it was easy, but because she had made a habit of showing up when needed. She didn't know that walking into that shift would become one of the most defining days of her life. And that's the thing. We rarely recognize life's pivotal moments as they happen. They look ordinary. They feel mundane. They're often disguised as duties or distractions, but hidden within them is a test of character, a quiet interview for something greater, a step toward a door we didn't even know existed. Had she said no, it would have made sense. She had every right to rest. She wasn't obligated, but her willingness to say yes to something small made space for something big to find her. This is one of life's most powerful truths. Every opportunity, no matter how small, holds the potential to be extraordinary, The shift at that reception desk wasn't glamorous. She didn't walk into flashing lights or a red carpet. But she carried herself with quiet grace. She greeted each guest with sincerity. She tidied the desk. She offered tea to a weary traveler. She didn't do anything special, except she did. She cared. She served. She smiled, and while she was checking in a stranger, life was checking in with her heart. We often wait for the big break, the perfect timing, the dream opportunity where everything is lined up and guaranteed. But the truth is, those moments are rare. Most life-changing opportunities are wrapped in everyday clothes. They don't announce themselves. They don't wait until you're ready. They arrive while you're living, while you're tired, while you're filling in. There's an old saying, success is when preparation meets opportunity. But preparation doesn't only mean skills and resumes. It also means mindset. It means being ready to treat every task, no matter how small, with care and integrity. She wasn't trying to impress anyone that day. She didn't know a millionaire was watching. She was just doing her job with heart, and that made all the difference. We are often taught to chase big goals, to dream higher, to wait for the right stage. But sometimes the greatest elevation comes from showing excellence in the small things, from giving your best when no one seems to be looking, from treating every moment, even the ones that feel insignificant, as an opportunity to shine. When you embrace small responsibilities with a full heart, you unlock something powerful: trust from the universe, readiness in yourself, and a path for unseen blessings to flow into your life. So the next time you're asked to fill in, help out, or step up, pause before you dismiss it. That small thing might just be the moment that changes everything. She didn't know she was being tested. She didn't know that man would open a door to a future she never imagined. But she did know who she was, and she brought that to the front desk, one guest, one smile, one decision at a time. Because every little yes, especially when it feels like it doesn't matter, writes a story that eventually does. Character is not built in comfort, but in commitment. It's easy to be kind when everything is going well, when the world is smiling back at you, when you're rested, recognized, and rewarded. But true character is revealed in the moments when no one is watching, when the task is thankless, when the effort is invisible, and when your soul must choose to stay kind even in silence. That's when the foundation of who you truly are is laid, not during the highlight reels, but during the quiet, unnoticed scenes of your life. She didn't have to show up that day. She wasn't scheduled, wasn't obligated. There was no promise of extra pay or special recognition. But she had made a quiet promise to herself long ago, that whatever she did, she would do it with heart. So when the manager called, asking her to cover a shift at the front desk, she didn't say yes because she had to. She said yes because that's who she was. That commitment to being dependable, even when it was inconvenient, was not a grand gesture. It was a choice rooted in integrity. That's what we often misunderstand about success. We think it's about talent, timing, or connections, but more often it's about character, not just what you do, but how you do it. The way you hold yourself when no one's clapping. The way you respond when things don't go your way. The way you carry yourself in the ordinary moments. That's where your future is being shaped. At the front desk, she greeted every guest with genuine warmth. Not because it was policy, but because it was personal. She took pride in her role, not because it came with fame or fortune, but because it gave her a chance to make someone's day a little better. That's what commitment looks like, not to a company, but to yourself. To your values, to doing things with excellence, even when mediocrity is easier. That's how character is built. It's in how you show up when the spotlight is off. It's in staying calm when a guest is rude. In answering questions with patience, in folding the brochures neatly, in offering tea without being asked. These aren't dramatic acts, but they are deliberate ones. They're acts of commitment. And it's through this quiet consistency that respect is earned, trust is built, and lives begin to change. People often ask, what should I do to be successful? But perhaps the better question is, Who should I become when no one's watching? Because it's your character that carries you through doors talent alone can't open. People remember how you made them feel, not just what you said. And when your kindness isn't a performance but a habit, when your diligence isn't for attention but for pride in your work, that's when life takes notice. She didn't know that a millionaire was standing on the other side of the counter. She didn't adjust her behavior to impress anyone. She simply stayed committed to being the best version of herself, not because she expected something in return, but because she knew that her character was the one thing that could never be taken from her. She showed up fully, not because she had something to gain, but because she had something to give. Comfort is where we rest. Commitment is where we grow. And it's in discomfort, in showing up when it's hard, in staying kind when you feel invisible. That's where character is forged like steel under fire. It's not always loud. It doesn't always get applause. But it builds a foundation that no storm can shake. In the end, what changed her life wasn't a lucky moment. It was the years of choosing to show up with integrity. That one shift was just the spark. The fire had already been burning inside her heart, lit by countless days of quiet commitment. And that, more than anything else, is what life rewards. Not perfection, but character. Not comfort, but courage. Not performance, but presence. She was not extraordinary because of one act. She became extraordinary because of the quiet way she chose to live every ordinary day. Your energy speaks before you do. Long before you introduce yourself. Long before you explain your background, qualifications, or intentions. People feel your presence. They sense your energy in how you walk into a room, how you make eye contact, how you offer a smile, or how you simply exist in the moment. There's a silent language in kindness, in authenticity, in sincerity. And often, it's this energy that opens doors long before your words ever reach the listener's ear. She didn't know she was about to meet someone important that day. She wasn't told to act a certain way, to prepare for a special guest, or to present herself differently. She was just herself, the same way she always was. But as the man stepped up to the front desk, weary from travel and silence, she greeted him with a smile that was not forced, but full of real warmth. It wasn't in what she said. It was in how she said it, in how she paused to listen, in how she gave him her full attention, like he wasn't just another guest, but a human being who mattered. That's what true energy is. It's not loud, it's not dramatic. It's not about trying to impress. It's about being fully present, being kind without an agenda, and treating each moment as sacred. People often forget your name, your appearance, even your title, but they rarely forget how you made them feel. That's what lingers. That's what echoes long after you've left the room. She didn't have to be taught customer service from a manual. She carried service in her spirit. That day, her job was to check in guests, but what she really did was offer someone peace after a long day. And that didn't come from a script. It came from her energy, her genuine presence, the fact that she wasn't just going through the motions, but choosing to show up with intention. This is a powerful lesson for life. In every relationship, in every interview, in every conversation, people are not only listening to your words, they're feeling your truth. Are you present or distracted? Are you sincere or trying too hard? Are you focused on giving or on gaining? Energy doesn't lie. It bypasses masks. It cuts through pretenses. It reveals who you really are when words are stripped away. So many people think they need to be the loudest in the room to be heard. But the most powerful voices are often quiet. They're rooted in authenticity, not performance. In presence, not perfection. She didn't say anything groundbreaking. She didn't need to. Her energy said enough. It said, "You're welcome here. You're safe. I care." That's what changed everything, not because he was looking for it, but because it was rare. In a world where so many interactions feel transactional, her presence felt human. And that was unforgettable. If we all understood the power of the energy we bring into the world, we'd treat our everyday moments so differently. We'd understand that even the smallest acts, a warm greeting, a gentle tone, a respectful pause, can shape someone's entire day. Sometimes even their future. She wasn't pretending to be kind because someone important was watching. She was kind because that's who she was. And that energy didn't just affect the guest, it echoed beyond that moment, leading to doors she never knew would open. You don't need the perfect words, you don't need a polished resume, you don't need to overcompensate. What you need is a grounded, honest, generous energy, one that radiates presence and care. That's the kind of energy people remember. That's the kind of energy that turns everyday moments into life-changing ones, because in the end, it's not just about what you do, it's about who you are while doing it. Your energy is your signature. Let it be something people feel even after the moment is gone. What feels like just doing your job to you might feel like magic to someone else. We often underestimate the impact of our smallest actions, especially when they're part of our daily routine. When you've done something 100 times, whether it's answering phones, serving food, fixing issues, or greeting guests, it can begin to feel automatic, even unimportant. But what you consider ordinary may be exactly what someone else needs in that moment. And when you go the extra mile, when you choose excellence over minimal effort, you plant seeds that can grow in ways you never expected. She didn't think twice when she offered him tea. She didn't know he had been driving for hours, exhausted, overwhelmed, and just hoping to find a moment of calm. She didn't know he had been to multiple places that day, each colder and more dismissive than the last. She wasn't aware that her simple kindness, asking if he was all right, listening attentively, and smiling like she truly meant it, would become a turning point in both their lives. She was simply doing what she believed was right, to serve with heart, not just with hands. We often think that making a difference means doing something grand, but it rarely does. It's in the details. It's in remembering someone's name, in walking someone to the elevator instead of just pointing, in saying, "Take your time," instead of "next in line." These choices take just a few seconds longer, but their impact lasts much longer. Excellence, in its truest form, is not about perfection. It's about presence. It's about being fully there, fully human, and fully willing to give just a little more than what's required. She could have stayed behind the counter and done the minimum, checked him in quickly, handed over the key and moved on. But she chose something more. She chose to connect, and that extra step, the human step, was what made all the difference, not just in how he saw her, but in how he remembered her. There's a hidden power in going the extra mile, because most people stop at the first. They do what's expected, nothing more. They complete the task but forget the touch, and that's exactly why the people who give a little more, who smile longer, speak gentler, or help without being asked, stand out like stars in the night sky. Not because they're trying to impress, but because their service comes from a deeper place. She didn't think she was changing anyone's life that day. She was just doing her job with heart. But to him, her kindness felt like a lifeline. In a world that often moves too fast, her slowness to care was powerful. It was rare. It was remembered. This is a lesson for all of us. In your daily routine, you will encounter people who are tired, stressed, worried, or hurting, and you won't even know it. Your small gesture, your patient tone, your extra few minutes of effort might be the moment that brings them light. You might be the only calm in their chaos, the only kindness in their day. That's the kind of power you hold, not through titles or fame, but through your choice to give more than what's required. You may not always see the results immediately. Most of the time, you won't get a thank you or a reward. But something is happening. A seed is being planted. And sometimes, just sometimes, one of those seeds grows into a life-changing tree, like it did for her, because what she saw as a simple act of service turned into a bridge to a future she never imagined. All because she didn't settle for average. She chose excellence even in the smallest task, and that choice, not luck, not chance, but character, is what made her unforgettable. So go the extra mile, not because someone is watching, not because you expect anything in return, but because that's who you are, and because what's ordinary to you might be extraordinary to someone else. You never know who's watching, and you never know what moment might be the one that defines your path forward. Life has a way of testing us when we least expect it. Not with challenges always, but with opportunities disguised as everyday moments. That's why how you carry yourself in the small things matters just as much as how you perform in the big ones. Every shift, every hello, every task, every moment is a canvas on which your character paints its truth. And sometimes someone is watching, not to judge, but to find something rare, something real. That day, she didn't dress to impress. She didn't rehearse lines. She wasn't told to be on her best behavior for a VIP guest. She was just there to help, to cover a shift, to fill a space. But in filling that space, she brought something to it. Something most people overlook: presence, kindness, and care. It was just a regular day, or so she thought. A check-in like any other. A guest like any other. But behind the tired eyes of the man standing across the desk was someone quietly observing. Not just her words, but her essence. You never know who is looking at you as an example. You never know if someone will walk away from a brief encounter with your name on their heart because of how you made them feel. This isn't about performance. It's about authenticity. People are deeply drawn to genuineness because it's so rare, and in a world full of noise, the quiet strength of sincerity speaks volumes. She didn't need to impress anyone. She simply chose to serve from the goodness of her heart. And in doing so, she revealed something far more valuable than polished professionalism. She showed soul. Her attention to detail, her calm presence, her willingness to pause and listen. It all created a ripple effect, even though she didn't know it. And that ripple found its way into a heart that mattered, someone with influence, someone who had the power to change her future. But the beauty is, she didn't serve because of who he was. She served because of who she was. This is why it's essential to treat every moment as if it matters, because it does. Not because someone important might be watching, but because you are important. Your values matter. Your actions speak. You don't become extraordinary in front of the crowd. You become extraordinary in the silence of routine, in the echo of consistency, in the places where few people applaud. When people think about changing their lives, they often focus on the big things. Career shifts, major goals, big ideas. But transformation almost always begins with a small moment, a choice to be excellent when no one requires it, a choice to be kind when no one deserves it, a choice to do your best when no one is watching. Because the truth is, someone always is, and not just people. Life itself watches, life remembers, life responds. That day, her future didn't change because she tried to impress someone. It changed because she stayed true to herself. She treated every guest like they mattered, even before she knew who they were. She offered warmth without knowing it would lead to anything, and that's exactly why it did. Her sincerity, her service, her steady character, all of it formed the invisible thread that connected her to an unexpected opportunity. You don't know whose life you're touching just by being fully you. You don't know what doors are quietly opening because of how you've chosen to show up. So show up with excellence, show up with love, show up with a sense of dignity and presence in everything you do. Because someone is always watching, and not because they're waiting for you to slip, but because they're hoping to find something real in a world that's often too rushed to care. Let that someone find it in you. You never need a title to lead, and you don't need a spotlight to shine. True leadership, true greatness, comes not from authority or applause, but from the quiet way you choose to carry yourself when no one asks you to. Influence begins long before recognition ever arrives. It begins in how you treat people, in how you handle the difficult moments, in how you show up, not because you have to, but because it's simply who you are. That day, she didn't walk into the hotel as a manager, a director, or someone in charge. She was just a stand-in receptionist, filling a shift, no formal power, no grand introduction. Yet, in her presence, in her actions, she led with grace, empathy, and quiet strength, and that left a mark more permanent than any job title ever could. She didn't need permission to be excellent. She didn't wait for someone to validate her worth before she extended kindness. She didn't need to be in charge to influence the experience of everyone who walked through those doors. With every interaction, every smile, every thoughtful gesture, she reminded us of one simple truth. You are powerful no matter your position. Leadership isn't about standing in front of people. It's about standing with them. It's about lifting others without needing to be lifted yourself. She never once mentioned what she hoped to achieve. She didn't have a pitch, a proposal, or a plan to be noticed, but by doing the little things right, with sincerity and excellence, she demonstrated what few ever managed to in loud rooms, a quiet kind of brilliance. People followed her spirit without her ever asking them to. And when the right person saw her, not just for what she was doing, but for who she was, everything changed. Not because she demanded recognition, but because her leadership was impossible to ignore. In life, the world tells us to chase status, titles, promotions, accolades, but what really makes someone great is often found in how they serve, how they listen, how they handle the people no one else sees. True leaders don't need a nameplate to matter. They carry their influence in how they live, and people remember them not for their power, but for their presence. That's who she was that day, not someone trying to be important, but someone already powerful because she acted with intention and care. And perhaps the most beautiful part is this: anyone can lead like that. You don't need a degree, you don't need a platform, you just need heart, consistency, the courage to be kind in a world that's forgotten how, and the humility to give your best without demanding a reward. That's the kind of leadership that transforms environments, that brings peace into chaos, that quietly inspires those around you to rise. She taught a lesson that day without speaking it, that leadership starts with self-respect. If you respect yourself, you won't wait for praise to act like someone who matters. You'll know that every action you take, no matter how small, is a reflection of your values. And that when you honor those values, others take notice, even when you least expect it. That guest didn't leave remembering the hotel decor or the amenities. He left remembering her, because while others had positions, she had presence. While others had experience, she had authenticity. She may not have held the keys to the office, but she held something far more powerful: the ability to make people feel seen, valued, and respected. And that's what true leaders do. So wherever you are, whether you're just starting, whether you're in between roles, whether you're in a position that feels unnoticed, remember, your influence isn't defined by your title. It's defined by how you treat people, by how you walk through the world, by how you choose to lead with integrity, even when no one's keeping score. You may not carry the job description of a leader, but if you serve with courage, listen with compassion, and act with excellence, you already are one. Let your presence do the leading, let your heart be your platform, and know this: someone, somewhere is watching and learning how to lead because of you.